So today we're just going to be talking a little bit about kind of the importance of cyber clusters within regions to support skills and careers throughout the cybersecurity industry, the importance of Yorkshire people making decisions for Yorkshire and what we can all do to get involved. And what our collective responsibility is. And we're also going to be talking on the mutual benefits of businesses and professionals supporting cyber clusters and the work that they do throughout the different regions within the UK. So, of course, Melanie was going to be delivering this talk today, but unfortunately she's unavailable, as I mentioned. So hopefully I can provide you with some valuable insight into the work that Melanie does with the Yorkshire Cybersecurity Cluster and all of the other wonderful organisations that she's quite heavily involved with. So I'll tell you a little bit about Melanie's story as she's not here. So Melanie founded Bob's Business, which is a cybersecurity awareness training company, back in 2007, I want to say. And then she also started Yorkshire Cybersecurity Cluster in 2015. And then when DCIT recognised the great work that all of the clusters were doing, and they decided to start funding the clusters, and that then formulated UKC3, which is the UK Cyber Cluster Collaboration. That's the 3 Cs. And she is a director of UKC3 as well. She's also a very passionate speaker on the human side of cybersecurity, obviously having a cybersecurity training and culture business. And that's something that she is very passionate and frequently speaks about. And as part of that, she, often provides advice to government through her role of being a non-exec director of industry advisor. So she's also does a lot of work with the local universities throughout Yorkshire, where Melanie now resides in Huddersfield. So she does a lot of work with Sheffield Hallam as well. So she's an executive in residence there. Has a fellowship at the Chartered Institute for Information Security as well. So she does a lot of work with them. And of course, to top it all off, was awarded last year an OBE for her services to cybersecurity, which I just think, says exactly testament of the work that she's done throughout her career. That's a little bit about Mel, if you didn't already know. So we've kind of split this presentation into 3 sections, and the first section is all about the North and South divide in regards to public investment and funding. We're going to specifically take a look at Yorkshire's funding in comparison to London and the South. Obviously, that's quite key. We're virtually in Leeds today, but I think I assume most of us from the call are in Yorkshire, so I wanted to take a deep dive into that. And we also have a case study to show you that shows the importance of consistency in regards to public investment into the socio-economic deprived areas, and how this can then lead to effective regional growth. So just kind of going to set the scene with a couple of stats, which I'm sure we're all aware of. It's something that's frequently talked about, is the North-South divide, but I just wanted to give you a little bit more context to set the scene for the rest of the talk. So the UK is the most regionally unbalanced, large advanced economy, globally. And, the driving factor behind this is the imbalance and the disparity between the North and the South. So a great example of this, which, there's lots of times where I sometimes realise this. So I was down at InfoSec the other day, and managed to get around London, and there's a tube turning up every 2 minutes, and it's relatively easy just to go from one side of London to another within 10-15 minutes. I live in Barnsley, which is in South Yorkshire, and is about a 20-minute drive away from Leeds on the motorway, but yet it takes me 45 minutes to get there by train. And there's so many, you kind of think why, and you can never rely on trains. I always find them getting cancelled. And And I think there's a lot more investment. Transportation is a really great example of that into the south than there is kind of the north. I mean, HS2 is a really great example of that as well, which I'm sure. But not to get too political, it's a topic that's been discussed quite heavily. So this is evident in the fact that, between 2014 and 2019 alone, London received an extra £61 billion of public investment compared with the entirety of the North. So London alone received an additional 61 billion. I just think when I read that stat, I couldn't even kind of put into my own head of how different that is. And it just kind of goes to show of how different. And, this may seem understandable. Obviously, London's the capital. Of course, they're going to invest a lot more into London. But I wanted to bring that stat in today because I thought, this really pays testament to the case study that we're going to look at, and the fact that actually Germany did a really, really great. They're a great example of a country that has had a very apparent divide between, I think it's the East and the West, and similar to our North and South divide. And then they, consistently invested in I think it's the East that they invested in. It'll come up on the slide and confirm in a minute. But they consistently invested into public spending over an extended period of time, and how that can alleviate the gap between kind of the imbalance of the West and East of Germany. So going on, so to deep dive a little bit more into Yorkshire and take a bit of a stronger look in that. Like many parts of North England, Yorkshire has been underfunded for quite a few years now. And as a result, we have a higher than national average in the number of benefits being received, in the percentage of workless households. But, despite all of that, we still have the fastest growing digital sector throughout the UK. And, I just think that pays absolute testament to the importance of these events and B-Sides Leeds and having events within Yorkshire. So at the Yorkshire Cybersecurity Cluster, we believe that capitalising on the fact that we have the fastest growing digital sector, is just so important to kind of the greater regional growth of our region. So a great, an example of this is, so when I was to tell you a little bit about my story is, so I went to a school in Barnsley. I went to a state school in Barnsley, and I managed to get a apprenticeship with Bob's Business, so the company that Melanie founded, and I worked for them in the tech team. And, within my family, I am one of the first persons in my immediate family to work in a corporate role, in a corporate position. My family, although they've worked incredibly hard, but, I've had plenty of conversations. And when I was looking for career advice, and I've turned around to them and go, oh, what do you think I should do? Or when I was making this decision between choosing an apprenticeship or A-levels or BTEC, and I asked them, and a lot of their responses was actually, I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you, because we was just kind of forced out of school at 18 or 16 and just went into a kind of low income, job in manufacturing or retail or hospitality. And, it's not to say that they've not worked up and worked, their way up. But, I think there's a lot more kind of jobs in them sectors and less, higher opportunity, higher paid salary jobs within Yorkshire at that time. However, now I think due to the work that the digital sector has done, and obviously again going back to that point that we're the fastest growing region in terms of digital sector, we have a real opportunity now to break the cycle of that and introduce more higher income positions within the region and creating, that much needed growth that I think we all are kind of looking for within Yorkshire. I know, being a young adult myself, a lot of my peers are in university now, and they've all travelled down south to go to universities down there, and they're, chances are they're already looking at postgraduate jobs within kind of Bristol or Surrey or London. And, I think it is our collective responsibility to recruit apprentices, recruit graduates. And the talk that Rosie and Natasha was doing earlier, I just think I took a lot of tips from that myself as well, and the importance of networking. But I kind of want to like flip it on its head as well with this session, and just kind of say, as employers as well, we have a responsibility. So going back to the case study that I was discussing earlier, so since reunification, which was in 1990, a total estimate, this is heavily debated, but it's between 1.5 trillion euros to 2 trillion euros. So that works out around 70 billion per year was spent tackling the east-west divide in Germany. So again, that's quite similar to our north-south divide. And experts and citizens within the east region of Germany they were the ones that were co-designing the policies to level up the cities and towns within the east of Germany. So again, I think it comes back to the importance of Yorkshire people knowing what's good for Yorkshire. And local MPs have got a lot of responsibility with that, and especially now we've got a South Yorkshire mayor and things such as that. But I think, again, coming back to this piece of the fact that we've all got a responsibility within Yorkshire. So in recent years, Leipzig, I think is how you pronounce it, but apologies if I'm wrong, and feel free to correct me if anyone knows, has received numerous awards for the quality of life there, and the kind of peace and how great it is to live there now, and that they're located in the east as well. So they are, again, a great example of a city that's kind of would have been classed as a deprived area to now kind of leveling up and showing that actually that improvement, and through gentrification and more businesses and more jobs, then kind of getting them to where they are now. So I think, we can definitely learn from this approach, and just kind of shows that we know, I think a lot of us know what's best for our region. And, speaking at Yorkshire Cybersecurity Cluster, we speak to businesses all of the time who quite frequently, say to me, look, we're really struggling to recruit skilled workers, or there's not enough cybersecurity graduates within Yorkshire, or we're struggling to do this. So as kind of YCSC, we've then kind of took that kind of responsibility a little bit, and said, okay, what can we do, and what can our impact be, which I'll come on to later in the presentation. But, what we kind of said we were going to do is we were going to engage with schools and engage with employers, and try and set up that mentorship opportunity and then relationships, and try and guide students through their education journey, through, when they're coming in secondary school, when they're picking their options, or just before they pick their options. And then when they're leaving school at, 16, what are they going to do? Are they going to go on to A-levels? Are they going to choose an apprenticeship route? And helping them, decide that journey. So yeah, exactly. So how can we, as people on this call, change that direction, change the tide, and what the role of clusters are in breeding that prosperity? So I'm just going to talk a little bit more about kind of what actually are cyber clusters for those that don't know, but also the importance of them clusters in facilitating, again, that regional growth. And what YCSC specifically do, and our successes so far in supporting skills within Yorkshire. So just to give you a little bit more about clusters and the YCSC. So our members are mainly comprised of industry professionals, SMEs, business owners, students, and academics. So basically, all we ask is that you have an interest and a passion for cybersecurity or tech or IT, or you want to move into it. You don't have to necessarily come down under one of them domains. So we host monthly events where we do. One in every 3 of them events is an in-person event. So we've got an event next month in Bradford in July, and it's just about kind of knowledge sharing, collaborating. So again, going back to what Natasha and Rosie were saying earlier about the importance of getting involved in community groups in your local area. If you're from Yorkshire, if you're not from Yorkshire, there's probably a cluster near you. There's 13 clusters across the UK, and I think that's soon to grow to 15. And if you want to find out more about your local cluster or which is near to you, you can see that on UKC3. I think it's .co.uk. So yeah, and it's free to attend. It's free to become a member, and you have the opportunity to network with, a bunch of different individuals throughout the industry. So we provide opportunities for growth and collaboration to develop future cyber talent within Yorkshire. And we do this through various ways, such as we hosted the Cyber First Girls competition for the past 2 years. So for those that don't know about the Cyber First Girls competition, it's all about kind of getting young girls, I think it's age 11 to 13, I might be wrong on that, but it's a year 8 girls trying to get them into cyber, doing kind of coding competitions, and then they get through to a finale, which for the past 2 years we have hosted online, but I think that's soon to change. And we've done that in partnership with the National Cybersecurity Centre, who run the Cyber First initiative, which is really, really great. And again, if you're someone looking to get into doing a degree apprenticeship, the Cyber First website is great. They do bursary schemes for people who are wanting to do a degree in cybersecurity, and they also do degree apprenticeship schemes as well, which is obviously a really great opportunity for you to work with just industry standard and one of the top organisations in cyber. We also do a Cyber Kickstart programme within Yorkshire Cybersecurity Cluster, and that was all about getting working with going into schools throughout Yorkshire, delivering masterclasses, workshops, bringing industry professionals in, helping them towards a qualification. We did a summer school as well, which we actually got quite a good turnout for, to say that year 9s were giving up 2 days of their summer holiday. I think we got about 50, 60, and that was absolutely phenomenal. We ran that last year. And that was in collaboration with the CRF Fund and the South Yorkshire Combined Authority. And obviously currently we're doing some skills research in partnership with UKC3, and that's funded by DCIT. So we work quite heavily with schools, colleges, universities and the STEM hubs to obviously encourage students to consider careers in cyber. But we also do support adult learners with career changes, as obviously that's a huge part that I think people kind of miss. And I know, just to highlight caps lock as well, if you are really looking to get into cyber as an adult learner, or even if you're a student, caps lock is, if you're looking for a mentor, they are phenomenal. But also if you're looking for someone maybe local in Yorkshire, please feel free to reach out to me at the end, and I'll see what I can do to facilitate that. But yeah, so UKC3, who kind of is the umbrella organisation of all the clusters, have 3 main goals. So that's ecosystem development, skills growth and innovation. So all of the clusters have a skills remit. So some of the other skills programs that we've founded in our skills research project that we're doing are Cynam's Cyber First Schools program. So they've reached over 4,000 students. There's a Women in Cyber Wales Cyber First Explorers program. Again, that's reached about, I think, 450 students. And there's plenty more great work being done. One that's happening particularly in Yorkshire that's really supporting adult learners and career changes is the Cyber Ready, which is funded by CompTIA, by Cyber Bradford, and they're doing really great work in helping individuals get into cyber through doing, I think it's the Security Plus certification. At the moment that's for Bradford, but it is such a great example of investing into them, what would be classed as socio-economically deprived areas, and how we can flip that on its head and really invest into that. So I guess we all kind of want to know how you come in and how we can help. So I guess I'm just going to hit on kind of how you can get involved and kind of our collective responsibility. And something I really wanted to point out was, and it was said to me at a DCIT Cyber Growth Forum event in Leeds, actually. It was the other Monday, and it was pointed out that we were all privileged individuals to be there. When I heard that, I thought, you know what, we are absolutely right. And everyone here today should, class themselves as also, we have all worked hard to be where we are, but also, you're a privileged individual to be here, listen to these, the great speakers that have just been on, and get them tips and note them down. So I think for me, let's, all pledge to give that back. So whatever you've learned today, again, going back to that networking piece that was highlighted in the previous talk about writing about the events, you're here today, like Natasha said, write about it. So, talk about what you learned, share that knowledge, talk about the importance of networking, talk about the importance of getting involved with clusters, talk about the importance of volunteering for groups such as B-Sides. And, let's give back to the community and take that pledge of whatever you learn, try and always pass it on. Or, if you manage to then get into, I wouldn't have been here if someone would have helped me and mentored me and supported me. And now I try my best to always, when Melanie said, look, I'm really sorry I couldn't do this talk, would you mind? I was a bit nervous, I can't lie, but I was like, okay, yeah, sure, let's do it. So yeah, I think just kind of pledging to give back a little bit, really. So how you can get involved is obviously, signing up to your local cluster. The YCSE and other clusters have experience in internships and apprenticeships, and, we can help you create those apprenticeship programs. We have networking events, again, both virtual and in person within the regions. So if you're a student, adult learner, or anyone looking to get into cybersecurity, or you're a professional looking to recruit your next apprentice or graduate, or just looking to, see who else is out there and collaborate, it's definitely worth attending. And just on that collaboration piece, I think this one's a bit more for the professionals and SMEs, but, don't be scared to collaborate. That was one of the things that came out of that the event run by DCIT. That I went to the other week, and it was, don't be afraid to partner with other cyber businesses. And, we all want to strive for a stronger Yorkshire and a stronger region, and wherever, we are in the north. So let's collaborate, let's bring together, cyber businesses. If you do a niche within cybersecurity and you've got a particular client looking for another niche in cybersecurity, so if you're a pen testing company but someone and you have a client that's particularly interested into getting a cybersecurity awareness training platform, is there a platform that you are aware of within Yorkshire? And just help keeping opportunities within the region, really, and just supporting that whole for regional growth and opportunities. So we are quite, again, going back to that point of we're very heavily involved with the schools and the universities. So if you're a business and you're looking to build relationships with your local schools, if you're looking to go and attend mock interview days, careers fairs, do a masterclass, do a talk to their students, our schools would bite your hand off, and I can tell you that now. They are always looking for people to come and talk about tech and cyber, because a lot of the teachers don't necessarily know about it as well, or feel like they can't talk about it. So to have someone come in and deliver them talks, or even if you're a student and you've had a great, phenomenal journey, and now you've just secured your postgraduate talk, come in and deliver a talk to year 7s, year 8s, year 9s, and show them of how because you're more relatable. And I think that's particularly what I always try and do, is I try and go back to my previous school that I went to, and they're like, oh, actually you're not years and years older, you're actually quite a relatable figure. So if you are anyone like that and you want to give back a little bit, please get in touch. And just kind of, I think this is one of the things that Melanie really wanted to zone in, and was the fact that if you are a business, don't be afraid to bring in career changers and invest in someone. And like what was said in the talk, invest it. A lot of companies are willing to invest and teach, because the technical stuff can be learned, but a lot of adults that are having career changes and switching careers have got such invaluable skills, and they call them soft skills. But I think I can't remember it was the caps lock call them something different, and it was a really, but it's off the top of my tongue now. But anyway, and they have some incredibly valuable skills. But yeah, so and one again, a justification for investing in new talent, whether that be adult learners, apprentice, or postgrad jobs, is obviously often big companies, the big corporate companies can often outprice smaller ones, and SMEs and startups when it comes to salaries. So actually, something that we've seen particularly work really well in Bob's business is investing in apprentices. We've got people that have been with us for 10 years now, and they started off at 16 and now they're heading our sales. And, then people are loyal, then people really, they grow with your organization, and they, are ultimately the driving force between Bob's at the moment. So yeah, I think apprentices are a really great way, but also postgraduates and other entry level positions. So really skim over this slide because obviously quite conscious of time. But yeah, so cybersecurity presents unique opportunities, so allowing for remote working. So if you're someone that's looking to get into cyber, look outside of Yorkshire. That sounds quite contradicting, but obviously, if you're working remotely, you're still within Yorkshire. Your salary is then coming back to your region, and I think that provides us with that really interesting new opportunity since COVID. And yeah, just become part of the solution and let's take it in our own hands instead of leaving it to the people higher up. But yeah, if you would like to get in touch, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and you can also find us on YouTube and Spotify. And obviously, if you would like to become a member and like to find out more, that's completely free as well. But yeah, thank you so much to the B-Sides Leeds team for having us. And again, really sorry that you couldn't have Melanie today, but I hope I filled in her shoes okay. So yeah, thanks.